The arena erupted in cheers as the final buzzer sounded. I'd done it. Against all odds, against competitors from 17 different species across the galaxy, I'd won the Galactic Games, the most prestigious athletic competition in known space. My lungs burned, every muscle screamed. But as I stood on the victory platform, breathing hard and bleeding from a dozen minor cuts, I couldn't stop grinning. 3 years of training, countless sacrifices, and humanity's first victory in an arena that had existed for millennia. The crowd chanted something in a language I didn't recognize. Holographic displays showed my face, sweaty, exhausted, triumphant, to millions of spectators across the stadium and billions more watching throughout the galaxy. Ladies, gentlemen, and honored beings of all species, the announcer's voice boomed, translated simultaneously into every language. I present your champion, Jackson Rivers of Earth. The roar was deafening. I raised my fist, and the crowd responded with even greater enthusiasm. Somewhere in the stands, I knew the human delegation was going crazy. We'd been the underdogs, the new species, barely a century into galactic society with no victories to our name. Until now. And now, the announcer continued, to present the champion's prize, Her Royal Highness, Princess Lyrazen of the Aurelian Empire. The crowd's energy shifted from enthusiasm to something approaching reverence. I turned toward the royal box and my breath caught. She descended the stairs with impossible grace. Her skin was a soft golden color, luminescent in the stadium lights. Hair like spun copper fell in elaborate braids adorned with jewels that pulsed with their own inner light. She wore ceremonial robes in deep crimson and gold that flowed around her like liquid fire. But it was her eyes that held me, violet, large, and expressive, with an intelligence that seemed to see right through me. Princess Lyrazen of the Aurelian Empire. I'd seen her before, of course. She'd been present at the opening ceremony, and her face was on half the promotional materials. The Aurelians were one of the most powerful species in the galaxy, and their royal family was treated with near religious devotion. She approached the victory platform, and I realized she was tall, easily 6 feet, with features that were alien yet somehow perfectly harmonious. High cheekbones, a slightly pointed chin, ears that came to delicate points, beautiful in a way that transcended species. "Champion Jackson Rivers," she said, her voice melodic and carrying effortlessly through the arena. "On behalf of the Galactic Council and the Aurelian Empire, I congratulate you on your historic victory." She held out a crystalline trophy that seemed to contain entire galaxies swirling within its depths. I took it with trembling hands, hyper-aware of the millions watching. "Thank you, Your Highness," I managed, hoping my voice didn't sound as starstruck as I felt. Lyrazen smiled, and something in that smile made my pulse quicken. It wasn't just formal politeness. There was warmth there, interest. She leaned closer, ostensibly to place the winner's medallion around my neck. But as she did, she whispered in my ear, her breath warm against my skin. "Meet me at the Royal Gardens, midnight, the Eastern Gate, come alone." Then she was pulling back, all formal propriety, presenting me to the crowd as if nothing had happened. But her violet eyes held mine for a moment longer than protocol demanded, and I saw something there that made my heart race faster than the competition had. The ceremony continued, speeches, presentations, the parade of nations, but I barely registered any of it. My mind was stuck on those whispered words. Why would an alien princess want to meet me alone at midnight? The royal gardens were located in the diplomatic sector of the station, a massive orbital structure that housed the galactic games and served as neutral territory for all species. I'd slipped away from the victory celebration, making excuses to my team about needing rest. Now I stood at the eastern gate, wearing civilian clothes instead of my team uniform, wondering if I'd made a terrible mistake. What if this was some kind of test? What if I was about to cause an interstellar incident? You came. I spun around. Princess Lyrazen stood in the shadows of an archway, no longer in ceremonial robes. She wore something simpler, a flowing dress in deep blue that made her golden skin seem to glow. Her copper hair was down, falling in waves past her shoulders. Without the formal trappings of royalty, she looked younger, more vulnerable. "Your Highness, Lyra," she interrupted softly. "When we're alone, please call me Lyra. I get enough Your Highness to last several lifetimes." "Then you should call me Jack. Jackson sounds like my mother's about to lecture me about something." She smiled, a real smile this time, not the practiced one from the ceremony. "Jack, I like it." She gestured toward the garden path. "Walk with me." We moved into the gardens, and I was struck by their beauty. Plants from 100 worlds grew in careful harmony. Bioluminescent flowers from Kepler 442b, singing vines from the Epsilon system, great trees from the Aurelian homeworld that seemed to whisper secrets in the breeze. "I'm sure you're wondering why I asked you here," Lyra said after a moment of comfortable silence. "The thought crossed my mind. I've been watching you, Jack, not just today, but throughout the games. The way you compete, it's different from the others." She paused beside a fountain that flowed upward instead of down, the water defying gravity through some technology I didn't understand. "Most competitors are in it for glory, for their species' pride. But you compete like you're trying to prove something to yourself." I was surprised by her perception. "How did you know?" "Because I recognize that look. I wear it myself every day." She turned to face me, those violet eyes reflecting the bioluminescent flowers. "Do you know what it's like to be born into a role, Jack? To have your entire life mapped out before you take your first breath? To be a symbol rather than a person?" No, I grew up in a small town in Colorado, son of a mechanic and a teacher, pretty ordinary, actually." "Then you're fortunate." She moved closer and I caught her scent, something like cinnamon and starlight. "I'm the third daughter of the Aurelian Emperor. Not important enough to inherit the throne, but too important to live my own life. Every action is scrutinized. Every word is analyzed. Every friendship is suspected of ulterior motives." She looked away. "I'm 27 years old by your calendar, and I've never made a real decision about my own life, never chosen anything just because I wanted it. That sounds lonely." "It is." She met my eyes again. "But watching you compete today, seeing someone fight for themselves, push beyond every limit just to prove they could, it reminded me that somewhere out there people still have that freedom, that agency." "Is that why you invited me here, to tell me you liked my athletic performance?" Lyra laughed, a sound like wind chimes in a summer breeze. "No, I invited you here because in 2 days I'm supposed to accept a marriage proposal from Prince Keithrel of the Vortran Confederation. It's a political alliance my father arranged when I was 15. I've never loved Keithrel. I'm not sure I even like him, but it doesn't matter. My duty is to secure alliances, not to be happy." The bitterness in her voice was palpable. "I'm sorry, Lyra, that's not fair." "No, it's not." She turned to face me fully. So I decided to give myself one gift before I spend the rest of my life as a political chess piece. One night where I choose something just because I want it. One memory that's mine alone. What gift? You, Jack Rivers. She stepped closer, close enough that I could see the way her pupils dilated slightly, the way her breath quickened. I'm choosing you for one night if you're willing. My heart hammered against my ribs. Lyra, I'm not sure I understand what you're asking. I'm asking if you'd spend tonight with me, not as a princess and a champion, just as two people who want something for themselves instead of for duty or glory or politics. Her hand found mine, her fingers slightly longer than human but warm and trembling. I'm asking if you'd help me remember what it feels like to make my own choice, even if it's just for a few hours. I should have said no. Should have recognized the diplomatic minefield I was about to step into. Should have considered the consequences of getting involved with an alien princess who was engaged to someone else. But looking into those violet eyes, seeing the desperate need for agency and choice, I found myself nodding. Yes, I said simply, I'd be honored. Relief and joy flooded her face. She squeezed my hand. Thank you, you have no idea what this means. Where do we go? I'm assuming the royal quarters are out of the question. I've arranged something. She led me deeper into the gardens to a section I hadn't noticed before. Hidden behind a wall of flowering vines was a small pavilion, open to the artificial sky but secluded from prying eyes. Inside, someone had arranged cushions, soft lighting, and a table laden with foods from various worlds. I prepared this myself, Lyra said with a hint of pride. My guards think I'm meditating. We have until dawn before anyone notices I'm gone. We settled onto the cushions, and she poured something that looked like wine but tasted like honey and starlight. As we drank and talked, I discovered that beneath the princess was a woman who loved music, who studied xenobiology as a secret hobby, who dreamed of traveling the galaxy not as royalty but as an anonymous explorer. I've never told anyone that before, she admitted after describing her fantasy of disappearing into the outer colonies under an assumed name. If my father knew, he'd be horrified. Princesses don't run away. They fulfill their duties. But don't you get a say in what makes you happy? Happiness is for common people, Jack. Royalty gets duty and honor. She set down her glass. But tonight I'm choosing differently. Tonight I'm choosing this, choosing you. She leaned in and I met her halfway. Our lips touched and I felt electricity arc between us. She tasted like the honey wine and something uniquely her. The kiss deepened, her hands threading through my hair as mine found the small of her back. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, she rested her forehead against mine. Thank you, she whispered, for seeing me as a person, not a title. Thank you for trusting me with this. We talked for hours, sharing stories and dreams and fears. She told me about the pressure of royal life, the loneliness of being watched constantly, the weight of representing an entire species. I told her about growing up ordinary, about pushing myself in athletics to prove I was worth something, about the imposter syndrome that haunted me even after winning. You're not an imposter, Lyra said firmly. You won fairly, you deserve to be here. And you're not just a political chess piece. You deserve to choose your own life, she smiled sadly. But I won't get to. In 2 days, I'll accept Keithrel's proposal. In 6 months, I'll be married. And this, she gestured between us, will just be a beautiful memory, one perfect night where I got to choose. It doesn't have to be that way. Yes, it does. My duty. Your duty is killing you, I interrupted. I can see it, Lyra. You're dying inside, one obligation at a time. That's not honor. That's self-destruction. What would you have me do? Abandon my responsibilities, cause a diplomatic incident, start a war because I don't want to marry Prince Keithrel? I'd have you choose yourself, at least once. Really choose, not just for one night, but for your life. I took her hands. You said watching me compete reminded you that freedom exists. Well, I'm telling you it can be yours. If you're brave enough to take it. It's not that simple. It never is, but that doesn't make it impossible. I met her eyes. I'm leaving tomorrow afternoon, heading back to Earth. Come with me. She stared at me, shock written across her face. What? Come with me, leave the princess behind, become whoever you want to be. Earth would welcome you. You could study xenobiology openly, travel without guards, make your own choices. Jack, that's insane. I can't just abandon my family, my species, my entire life. Why not? They've already mapped out your entire existence without asking what you want. When do you get to live for yourself? Lyra pulled away, standing and pacing the pavilion. You don't understand. The Aurelian royal family isn't just symbolic. We're woven into the fabric of our society. If I disappeared, it would devastate my father, humiliate my family, potentially destabilize political alliances that keep peace across multiple systems. And if you stay, it destroys you, which is more important, political convenience or your life. That's not fair. No, what's not fair is forcing you to choose duty over happiness, over agency, over the basic right to determine your own future. I stood as well, moving toward her. I'm not saying it would be easy. I'm not saying there wouldn't be consequences. But Lyra, you deserve to be more than a political tool. You deserve to choose. She turned to me, tears glistening in those violet eyes. I want to, God, I want to so badly, but I'm terrified. What if I'm not strong enough? What if I fail at being ordinary? Then you fail, and you try again. That's what freedom means, the right to fail on your own terms instead of succeeding at someone else's plan for your life. We stood in silence, the weight of the choice hanging between us. Around us, the bioluminescent flowers pulsed with soft light, and the singing vines hummed a melody that sounded almost mournful. If I did this, Lyra said slowly, if I actually left with you, what would that look like? Honestly, I don't know. We'd figure it out together. You'd need a new identity, probably, a place to stay while you got settled, help navigating Earth culture. I paused. And eventually, you'd need to decide what you want to do with your life, but it would be your decision. Not your father's, not Prince Keithrel's, yours. I've never made a major decision alone. What if I'm terrible at it? Then you'd be terrible at it the same way everyone else is, making mistakes and learning and growing, like a person instead of a symbol. Lyra laughed through her tears. You make it sound simple. It's not. It's probably the hardest thing you'll ever do. But is a hard life you choose better than an easy one you don't? She moved to the edge of the pavilion, looking out at the alien sky with its unfamiliar constellations. My mother died when I was young. Before she passed, she told me something I've never forgotten. She said a caged bird with a golden perch is still in a cage, better to fly free and hungry than to be fat and imprisoned. Lyra turned back to me. I never understood what she meant until now. What are you saying? I'm saying. She took a deep breath. I'm saying yes, I'll come with you. I'll choose myself, even if it means losing everything else. The relief and joy that flooded through me was overwhelming. I crossed to her, pulling her into an embrace. She held me tightly, shaking slightly. I'm terrified, she whispered against my shoulder. Me too, I admitted. I just convinced an alien princess to run away with me. If this goes wrong, it'll be the galaxy's biggest scandal. And if it goes right, Then you get to live, really live, on your own terms. We held each other as the artificial night deepened around us. Somewhere in the distance, celebration continued for my victory. But here, in this hidden pavilion, we were planning something far more significant than athletic achievement. We were planning freedom. "We'll need to be careful," Lyra said, her tactical mind already working. "My guards change shifts at dawn. There's a maintenance shuttle that departs for the transport hub at 6 a.m. if I can reach it without being seen. I can get us both on board. My team has transit clearance." I pulled back to look at her. "But Lyra, once we do this, there's no going back. Your father will search for you. Prince Keithrel will be furious. The entire Aurelian Empire will want answers." "I know." Her jaw set with determination I'd seen in the arena, the look of someone who'd made their choice and would see it through. "Let them search. Let them be furious. For once in my life, I'm choosing what I want, and I want freedom. I want agency. I want to discover who Lyra is when she's not a princess. And what if you don't like who you find? Then at least I'll have found her honestly, instead of wondering for the rest of my life who I could have been." She cupped my face with both hands. "Thank you, Jack Rivers, for winning today, for being brave enough to say yes to a midnight meeting, and for showing me that freedom is still possible even for someone like me. Thank you for trusting me, for choosing yourself, for being brave enough to fly free." We kissed again, this time not with the desperate passion of stolen moments, but with the certainty of a shared future. Whatever happened next, scandal, pursuit, complications, we'd face it together. The night passed in planning and conversation and quiet moments of simply being present with each other. As artificial dawn began to lighten the sky, we prepared to leave. Lyra had brought a simple traveling cloak, something nondescript that would help her blend in. She removed her royal jewelry, hiding it away. Without the trappings of status, she looked younger, more vulnerable, but also somehow more real. "Ready?" I asked as we approached the maintenance area. "No," she admitted with a shaky laugh, "but I'm doing it anyway." We boarded the shuttle without incident. The maintenance crew barely glanced at us, just another human and his companion leaving the station. Within minutes, we were docking at the transport hub, lost in the crowd of thousands traveling between worlds. It wasn't until we were safely aboard the Earth transport, strapped into our seats as the ship prepared for the jump to FTL, that Lyra finally relaxed. "I did it," she whispered, more to herself than to me. "I actually did it. How do you feel?" She considered the question carefully. "Terrified, exhilarated, free." She turned to me with a smile that lit up her entire face. "I feel alive, Jack. For the first time in my life, I feel alive." As the ship jumped to faster-than-light travel, leaving the station and her old life behind, I took her hand. Around us, other passengers dozed or read or talked. None of them knew they were traveling with a runaway alien princess. None of them knew they were witnessing the start of the galaxy's greatest scandal. But in that moment, none of it mattered. What mattered was the woman beside me who'd chosen freedom over duty, uncertainty over comfortable imprisonment, life over slow death by obligation. "What do we do when we reach Earth?" Lyra asked. "We figure it out together, one day at a time." I squeezed her hand. "You wanted to study xenobiology. Earth has incredible research programs. You wanted to travel. We've got a whole planet to explore. You wanted to discover who you are. We've got time. Just like that, we just start living, just like that." She leaned her head on my shoulder, and I felt her relax fully for the first time since we'd met. "I won you a prize today," she murmured sleepily. "The trophy, the glory, the recognition. You did. but you gave me something so much more valuable. Her violet eyes met mine one last time before exhaustion claimed her. You gave me myself back. Thank you, Jack Rivers, my champion, my liberator, my choice. As she drifted to sleep, I stared out the viewport at the stars streaking past. I'd won the galactic games today, achieved the goal I'd sacrificed everything to reach. But somehow, sitting here with a sleeping alien princess who'd chosen freedom over everything she'd ever known, I felt like I'd won something far more important. Not a trophy, not recognition, not glory, a partnership, a shared future, the chance to help someone discover themselves. And maybe, just maybe, the beginning of something that transcended species, status, and circumstances. I'd won the prize, but she'd promised something more. And that promise of freedom, of choice, of life lived on our own terms was worth more than all the galaxy's games combined. The ship flew onward, carrying us toward an uncertain but chosen future. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't afraid of what came next. I was excited.